What's up, everybody? Welcome back to my channel, and today I am going to talk about recording studio equipment, and specifically going to be talking about the Focal Solo 6 BEs. These are studio monitors that, a lot of you may have heard of, may have not heard of. Depends who's watching, but if you've ever heard of Focal, you've always had in the back of your mind some very good quality equipment. So basically, I'm not going to get into some crazy details into these speakers, all the specifications and all that. You could always look that up if you're really interested in that. I really, don't really care about the real in-depth details, but I just want to give you a look into the speakers and how I feel about them and pretty much my first impressions of them. A little bit of background for me in the recording studio. I have been doing it for about 3 or 4 years now, and I originally started out with the KRK Rokit 8s for my studio monitors. And these are, somewhat cheaper speakers, but they're very popular just because of the distinct sound that they have. And you see them in a lot of studios, whether that's a home studio or even a multi-million-dollar professional studio. They're probably going to have a set of KRKs there. You're looking into the Focal Solo 6s. These are definitely some of the higher end speakers. I don't know if you want to call mid-range or high range, but basically the KRK started about $250 a piece versus the Solo 6s. I think they're about $1,500 a piece if you're looking at the price. So it's definitely a big jump, and there's definitely it definitely shows with the quality and the build and all that good stuff. So comparing the KRK Rokit 8s to the Solo 6 BEs, the first thing you're going to notice is the size of the cone, the woofer. On the Rokit 8s, it's 8 inches, of course. And then on the Solo 6s, you're looking at a 6.5 inch cone. So the big difference you're going to hear right away is just the amount of low end, the bass, and the kick. You're going to have a lot more of that with the KRKs, but with the Solo 6s, not going to be quite as much of a boom or kick and all that stuff, but you're going to have a lot better of a more controlled sound. So when you're mixing and mastering, you can really hear the fine details. Now, these are on a different caliber of speakers versus the KRKs, and the first thing you're going to notice is when you start listening to them, you bring them into your studio, you're going to notice that you're really hearing a lot of stuff that you never heard before. The transparency is a lot better. The stereo imaging almost sounds like it's a whole lot wider than anything you've ever listened to, and which is really cool. So it takes a time to get used to it. And but definitely very good sounding speakers. Now, say you purchase these. The first thing you're going to want to do is, of course, read the user manual and look over all the details to make sure you're setting them up right, and, using the right cables and all that good stuff. But first thing you're going to want to do is break in the speakers properly. There's specific ways to do this. Sometimes they're 20, 30, 40-hour break-in periods. I'm not exactly sure what they are for this. I think it starts at 20 hours from the manufacturer that you're going to want to do. And definitely look into that, though, because when I first got these, I initially set them up in my studio at a lower volume. I just played music overnight. So probably 8 to 12 hours I was playing music. And then the next day, I would come in, turn it up even more and more and more over the next 20, 40, 48, 72 hours, however long you want to do your break-in, just so you make sure you're breaking in properly and you're going to get the best sound out of them and make sure not to damage them. So that's a big step that you're going to want to do. And once that break-in period is over, you're going to start to hear that these are going to loosen up. It's going to start to sound fuller, just going to sound better in general. When I first got these, the low end really wasn't there. I was kind of wondering, are these really worth the money? But after looking, you have to do the break-in period for it to really make sense. So after that break-in period, everything started to sound really good. And then switching back to the KRKs, it was there was no going back. Maybe some for like reference monitors or anything like that. But once you're really getting into it and start using these speakers, you're going to want to not go back to anything else. And I do a lot of rap in my studio. I do all kinds of music, these speakers are great for just about anything mixing wise. I always had troubles trying to fit in the vocal to the instrumental. So the beat, whatever, I could never get it to line up too good using the KRKs, and that was always my downside with mixing. I just couldn't get it to fit right. So I was hoping when we got these, I set them up and I was just thinking in the back of my mind, I'm really going to be able to do some cool stuff with these and really make sure my mixes are sounding good. And it turned out that as soon as I started mixing with these after they were broken in, I could fit the vocal right into the instrumental and it would translate. If it translates good, that is amazing because you can listen to the car, headphones, other speakers, whatever. Expensive speakers, big speakers, cheap speakers, small speakers. It's going to sound really good if you get your mixes sounding good on these Focals. And if you guys have any questions, make sure you comment below, subscribe, like, and share this. Check out my socials. You can get a hold of me if you have any questions about anything equipment-wise. Would love to help you from my perspective, and looking forward to some more videos. Thank you.